You're listening to the Sovereign and Soul podcast. I'm your host, Meikel. I've spent the last 6 years as a soul and sovereignty coach, where I guide people to heal themselves through inner child work, overcoming imposter syndrome, changing from scarcity to an abundance mindset, harmonizing body, mind, and soul to work as one, finding the ability to trust yourself, tuning into your own frequency, and learning how to be compassionately accountable with yourself. We're going to discover how to set ourselves free, unlock our potential, and reclaim the joy in our lives. If you're wondering, is this podcast for me? Let me ask you a few questions. Why do you keep giving your power away? Did you know that you do that? Do you struggle getting yourself out of unwanted patterns? Do you wonder why you can't seem to break out of your situation? Did you know that you can? Did you know that you are actually the only one who can? Did you know that you are the one that can magnetize everything you desire to you? Stick around. We're going to answer these questions. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Sovereign and Soul podcast. Today I have kind of strong stuff on my mind and heart. And so we're going to get after it. We're going to go in hard. So like trigger warning, I'm starting off strong. All right, buckle up. So one of the biggest gifts in my life has been death. Not only witnessing and experiencing the death of those that I love, but the acceptance of my mortality, and then accepting that all things pass. In this human experience, we are hardwired for things to be the same. Because when the same thing repeats, we know that we're safe, it's predictable, it's comfort. And comfort is the killer of most dreams. And comfort is the thing that'll keep you comfortable, but it won't cause you to have joy and it won't give you fulfillment. Discomfort is it. And so death and allowing things that no longer serve me to fall away or to die, and then just really understanding the cyclical nature of life. And so life was handed to us with these instructions that looked really linear. Like there's these tick points of you're born and then you have your physical death and there's all these little tick marks in between. And as long as you hit these tick marks, then you're going to be fine. When really life is like a spiral staircase and you're going up and it's very tight and you'll come around and you're like, why am I still seeing this? I was just here. And that this work that I'm talking about, it's the discernment to see that you've gone up a couple of steps. Because we can all see it when we go up a couple flights. It's the ability to go, I am making some progress here, but I'm going to have to go around a few times and see the same thing before I can get that bird's eye perspective. And so in thinking about death and that there's these phases of your life, and sometimes they're a week long, sometimes they're a month long, sometimes they're years, right? But that all things fall away, and that it is why the what is it, an allegory, a myth, the phoenix. I'm really good at this, you guys. That story of the phoenix being reborn has been one of the most enduring stories in human history, is because it's showing us what it's actually like. You are going to go through these cycles where things fall away, just like the seasons of the earth, right? The trees have to shed their leaves in order to go dormant, in order to rest and hibernate and grow more in the spring. We do the same thing. And so the acceptance of deaths in all of their forms throughout your life, this has been the gift of my life, because not only is time our friend and time is our ally, but that is what makes life so potent, is that it does pass. If, there's an incredible song. I'm going to forget the name, but if we were vampires and death was a joke, and I wouldn't feel the need to hold your hand. Nothing would matter because the now wouldn't be as potent. And so, thinking about that as the clients that I spoke to today are grappling with that. They want new life. They want to usher in this new way of living and to be able to evolve. But they're having a hard time letting the old go. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with the old other than that you've outgrown it. Nothing really happened. It wasn't this terrible thing, but it's allowing that season to die for you and for you to accept the newness and all of those things. And that's really difficult. And as you work on yourself, as you come home to yourself, there are people and relationships that won't work anymore. And to accept that and really to grieve it, because every time we lose something, whether it be time or a person or a relationship or a job, loss requires grief or just the acknowledgement that I'm really sad to be moving on from this, even though I know that it's best for me. Or even if you're just trusting that the next phase is what you need for your ultimate growth. And so this is the deaths, the acceptance of how to grow as a human being, how to not only heal, but to become the fullest version of yourself. This is where we get into personal sovereignty. And personal sovereignty is this. Sovereignty is your ability to create space between reaction and response. So you have the activation, or more commonly known as the trigger, and that happens, and then a thought's formed, and then emotion is formed, and then you either react to that or you respond to it. And so the flex here is how long of a pause can you have between reaction and response? And really it's the space. You want to create space in your body so that you become consciously aware of what the trigger has caused in your physical being and go, oh, that hurt me. It caused this and this and this emotion. That emotion's bringing up this. And I either want to defend, deflect, run, or attack, right? When instead, the power comes in being able to calm all of those pieces, right? You're able to meet all of those emotions and go, okay, how do I take back control of the only thing I have control over? This series of events and my reaction or response to it. And so to create that space, we have some laws. And this is going to be like a fun little overview of the laws of personal sovereignty. But coming up in May, we're going to have 4 episodes dedicated to diving into each of one of these. And so let's list them, shall we? The laws of personal sovereignty. Allow others to be who they are and accept that you have no control. Allow yourself to be who you are. Accept that this is the only thing you can control. These 2, we could probably leave it here, really. Because this is the basics. When you understand that you can only deal with you, it actually simplifies everything. At first, it might piss you off because it's like, well, these people really aren't handling it. They should just let me do it because I can do it better. And you know what? Maybe that's true. But you can't actually control people. You can try, but they're not going to like you very much. And it's not going to go well for you. So I highly recommend trying it this way. But then you're going to be busy just doing these 2 things. Keeping yourself from trying to control other people, okay? And then accepting that you don't have control, because that's kind of a bummer, because there is really a part of human beings that are like, no, I think I can do this. I think I can. I know better. I know what they need. You might. We all must find out for ourselves. It's super fun. And then allowing yourself to be who you are. This one is jam-packed with stuff because do you know who you are? Have you met yourself? We all mask in so many different ways to get belonging. We are mirroring what we see and we're like, oh, that gets people connection and belonging. I'm going to do that thing. And then accept that this is the only thing that you control, which is such a relief. You only have to deal with you. And don't worry, you're going to be plenty of work just for you. Allowing yourself to be who you are in this moment and then getting curious about what you want to change. This will take up a lot of your time. So these top two are that's why they're the first two. The third is do not force anything. The opposite of which is to flow, right? And I love flow so much because we're like, hey, I'm flowing. Can I have it now? I'm doing it. Give me the thing I want. That's not flow. That's like covert force. To not force anything. You go back to this one, allow yourself to be who you are and accept that it's the only thing you can control. And so it looks like this. There's this thing that I am wanting. There's this thing that I'm working towards. I'm not supposed to force anything. What do I do? The question becomes, have I done everything within my control to make this happen? Essentially, it's this offering in this co-creation with the universe. I am going to take responsibility and take action in every way that's actually possible within my control. And then I'm going to allow. And I'm going to surrender because I don't force. And so I think the common phrase for this is let go and let God. So do not force anything. This one's my favorite. Are you ready? I'm so ready. I love this one. Be accurate. My clients are always like, I know. I need to be accurate because I drive it home. Accuracy is everything because we love to do that. I am the worst. Everything is the worst. Everything is falling apart and nothing will be okay ever again. You're describing how it feels, not how it is. And so we meet the emotion for sure. But when you are trying to make a decision, when you are trying to sort through something that's going on for you, be accurate. What is actually going on? You are not actually the worst, okay? You just aren't. So then you're accurate about your role and responsibility in whatever's going on. And then you get accurate about other people's roles, right? From your perception. Be accurate. Because when people are like, oh my goodness, you are the best at everything, you know that's not true. And that's okay. They're trying to compliment you. But the accurate thing would be to say, I really love this one thing that you're doing and it resonates with me. Thank you for doing it. So when you're accurate, it's this beautiful way to be like, I actually know what's happening and I'm okay with that. It's the acceptance of what is. And so, when a client calls and they will, and they're like, I've ruined everything. And then they're like, oh, okay. I'll be accurate. What I did was I allowed the trigger to happen. I reacted. And now I feel really guilty about it. And this isn't what I want. But I did do better in a couple of different ways. That's accuracy. You get to be accurate about yourself. And it's important for a number of reasons. The main one, though, is because we are so accustomed and trained to be like, here are all the negative things. And it's definitely my fault. And I probably deserve it anyway. Accuracy requires you to look at all sides of a thing. I don't know why human beings are like, I'm definitely going to believe this bad stuff about me. First and foremost. Yep, that sounds right. Instead of the good things, they get to sit at the same time. So be accurate. Trust that solutions will emerge. So this one kind of goes hand in hand with do not force anything. Because you go back to that, have I done everything within my control to help this situation? If you have, this is where you put that trust into play. All right, I've done everything I can within my power today. And so I'm going to trust. And so there's a few different ways that we like to do, like people are like, oh, just be patient. You need to wait, cool your jets, whatever. Let me explain what faith is to me. There is waiting, which is kind of petulant, right? Like toe tapping, like, I just want to get out of here. And then there's patience, which patience has its limits, right? And then there is this powerful and potent combination of trust and allowing. And that's faith. Because once you've done everything you can do, you're trusting in the natural consequence of that. And you're actually leaving room for magic to happen, right? Because it's like you get so fixed on an outcome, you don't leave room for magic. Like, what if it was more than you asked for? But we don't want to leave room for that. We're like, no, we just want the one thing. And we have to have this thing or we won't be worthy. Instead of, I did everything within my control because I'm going to completely show up to this. This is an offering to the universe of, I do want this. And I'm showing up in the energy of, I deserve it. And so your actions are discipline and respect as self-love, right? And then it's the trust, and you let go. And you leave room for a myriad of different offerings to come to you. Expectation in this sense can often kill faith because you're still attaching to an outcome. The only thing that is certain is uncertainty. This one really pissed me off. Who doesn't want certainty? I do. I want it. Wouldn't that be great? I just want a few things to be certain. And it's the old saying of like, the only thing that is certain is death and taxes, and there couldn't be anything more true. And uncertainty. You can count on it. You cannot be certain of any outcome. You can't be certain of anything that's going to happen from one moment to the next. We can influence these things. We can have probabilities, but in really believing and understanding that uncertainty is certain, it's so freeing. Because you aren't using your energy to ensure that something will be certain. That's force. That's control. That is the opposite of faith and love. Release attachment to the outcome. Control is the opposite of love. When we try to control a situation or we try to control a person, we are literally saying like, I actually don't think you can do this. I don't trust you. I don't respect you. You can't handle it. So I know what's best and I'm going to come in and control it. To release your need to know the final outcome. This, again, faith, okay? To understand that when we control someone, we are completely disharmonized. Compassionate accountability is an act of self-respect and self-love. This podcast will be anything but love and light. There will be that, but it won't be only love and light. Light doesn't know it's light without the dark. The shadow isn't bad, it's just shadow. So accountability and responsibility you can't do this work without them. The only way that we have really, as a culture, practiced accountability and responsibility was by berating ourselves, right? And really speaking to ourselves in such abusive ways, trying to become accountable and responsible. thinking that that's the way that you do it. And so when we're talking, there's so much talk, right, about the divine feminine, the divine masculine. Right now, we are just barely coming out of oppressive patriarchy, and there is divine patriarchy. I want to be so clear about that. But that to apply the divine feminine to yourself, to your own experience, it is to provide that compassionate accountability. And so that looks like, yeah, I definitely acted outside of my integrity. I did do that thing. And I feel, and you name all the ways that you feel about it. And you just witness them and you feel the grief and the pain and the discomfort that comes from self-betrayal. And self-betrayal is when you act outside of your integrity and your values because you were scared, because you were trying to control, right? And so the divine feminine, the divine mother in her wisdom says, yeah, you did do that. But I'm going to hold you in it. The feminine is yin. The feminine is night. That's when you rest. That's when you sort through things and get clarity. So compassionate accountability is being gentle with yourself while not beating about the bush about what you did wrong or the mistakes you made. And look, they aren't mistakes if you learn from them. It's not losing, it's learning. And honestly, in this case, I feel like the universe is this beautiful sushi conveyor belt. Okay. If you make a mistake, and I am air quoting for those of you not watching on YouTube, it's like, oh, you aren't ready for this. You don't have the capacity to hold it. You might not understand what you deserve yet. All right. It's just going to go back around on that conveyor and it'll come back around again. I tell my clients constantly, you're not being tested. It's just another opportunity to like, well, you said you wanted to shed this pattern. So here's an opportunity to interrupt it. Would you like to do that now? And they're like, why is this happening? Why does God hate me? Why does the universe hate me? No. It's giving you the opportunity that you asked for. It doesn't mean that it won't come without like major discomfort. I was talking to a client and they were like, can't something just be easy? And this is a sentiment that I have said to myself, to anyone who would listen many times until I realized that nothing that is worth anything is easy. Nothing. There is ease. There's ease that comes with correct energy management of the self and not trying to control things that you don't control, but things that are easy don't get you anywhere. And look, life is difficult and it's hard. So pick your hard. It's the hard that's going to lead you to self-discovery, to fulfillment, to joy, and to growth. Or it's the hard that you're in. A lot of people pick the hard that they're in because they're used to it. And our brains are like, we know this. We know we're not going to die here, so we're just going to keep this loop going because it keeps us at stasis. It keeps us alive. When you try something new, your brain's like, you're going to die. Don't do that thing. Because we don't know how to predict the outcome. And that's where you get to be the master of your mind. You get to say like, I know, brain, you're freaking out. It's okay. I've got this though. So thanks for the reminder. We're going to try this new thing and you're going to help me. Because all of the self-help, all of the spirituality, this is not to demonize the mind. It's not to demonize the body. It is to learn how to command them both and have them act as an instrument, as one, the head and the heart. You want them speaking to each other, communicating. Okay? Compassionate accountability. It's incredible. It's incredible when you learn that you get to speak to yourself with loving gentleness and that it actually gets you way further than punishing and hurting yourself and abusing yourself verbally. Responsibility for your own experience is freedom. one of my favorite books is The Four Agreements. And when I first read it when I was 20, I threw it across the room. I was pissed because I was like, I'm sorry. No, things are personal. How dare you? Hucked it across the room. And then it came back in late 20s and I was like, The other three really started to settle. I still took an issue with it. Nothing is personal. Because I was like, no. And then I read it again in my early 30s. And I realized then that everyone is literally telling you about themselves with the way that they treat you. So when someone is unkind to you, they are saying, I hate myself a lot and I'm in pain and I would like you to feel the same way. It has nothing to do with you. So when we're like, well, we're unhappy because these people are causing us to be unhappy, we're giving our power away. And always the caveat of there are obviously real abusive relationships. You still get to choose to get out of them. You still get to choose to change your circumstances. So understanding that your experience in life is your responsibility, this is some shit. Because when you realize that you've been the one in your own way, you've been the one causing your own suffering, you've been the cause of your own pain, that's some reckoning. It's easier to blame other people. It's easier to blame the government. It's easier, you name it. It's just easier to give our power away. And so you get to sit with this one and let it come in and like, oh, okay. And you get to try this out in small ways. Like, I'm actually responsible for if I feel happy or sad in a day. And it looks like this. If you're sad, it's not like, well, I get to just be happy, so I'm just going to choose it. Boom, done. And you got to move through the emotion of it. Do you feel sad? Meet it. Be sad. All emotions were meant to come and go. Okay? We're trying to create contentment and peace within. This is not about being happy. That's not a thing. Happiness comes and goes like anything else. It's the contentment and peace that we're looking for. So, ascension is a state of mind. Enlightenment is embodied. We're here in these beautiful meat sacks for whatever amount of time you're here. Every part of our physiology suggests that we're here to feel. The nerve endings alone in these beautiful bodies of ours, it's meant to be in here. We're supposed to live our lives in our bodies, in the present moment. And so when we talk about ascension and when we talk about enlightenment, it's often talked about like how spiritual can you be? How much up in the clouds can you be? And that's not it. You want the fullness of this human experience. That's what we came here to do. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, right? So, and our spirits are energy. So you're here in these meat sacks to feel and to learn how to transmute emotion, pain, and trauma into something that serves you, back into harmony with your body. And that's wisdom. And so if you would like to have, traditional enlightenment, you may go live on a mountain with a monk. It's great. You can do that. You can actually achieve that all the time. But it means taking yourself out of this reality, out of society, out of the day-to-day. And look, we need monks. They're adding to the collective energy. We also need people who are in it. We're like testing it out. How can we make this better? How can we be better human beings to ourselves and to each other? But this is where once you start down this road of personal sovereignty, sunsets become more beautiful. You start to appreciate these like beautiful magic in everyday, like the way that water feels on your hands, the feeling of fabric. You notice sounds. You're going to notice the beauty in people's voices of those that you love and are connected to. And all of a sudden that starts to become your source of joy. That's enlightenment. So be fully here. And ascension is truly the transmutation of your traumas, of your stuck emotions back into harmony with your body. And you get to keep the wisdom. You are the one. You're the one. It's always been you. That person you've been waiting for, that person that's going to change your life, that person's that's going to, tell you that you're worthy and you're Prince Charming, or I suppose you're Princess Charming, whatever. It's you. You're the love of your life. You and your body are the only ones present for every moment in your life. It's you. It's just that the conditioning that you received and the experiences that you have had caused you to forget your worth. You didn't know you were the one. They caused you to forget. That's not your fault. But now it's your opportunity to remember. So healing work, this soul healing repair, right? Self-help, whatever you want to call it. That's what this is. It's a remembering of what was always there. And an acceptance of everything that has happened. I'm going to build with it. Right? Because there's no cutting off of, there is no cutting off pieces of ourselves. We bring it all home. We give every single version of ourselves a place in our bodies in this present moment. And we say, thank you for getting us here. Now, won't you please come with me and help me as I learn how to live my most fulfilled and successful life? Watch them support you. It's you. Every hero's journey, every story, okay? There's the one, right? The one. It's you. All of these stories were meant to teach you about you. And then my personal belief is that we are here to love and be loved. But we don't complete each other. We walk side by side. And you can only give love to the level that you love yourself. You can only really give the amount of love that you're able to receive. So why wouldn't you just become the love of your life? All it's going to do is make you happy in the moment. Excuse me, it's going to make you content and peaceful in the moment. And it's going to bring towards you people who can meet you where you are. This is how you find your people. By loving yourself. Allow, accept, forgive, and embrace. This is something that I've almost had tattooed on me like 100 times. But tattoo parlors are so... Do we still call them parlors? We still call them parlors. Sure. Parlors. They're so booked out, y'all. So I haven't gotten it yet, but you know what? I probably will. But these allow, accept, forgive, embrace. This is your wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, of all these things. But really, if you just took this, allow what's happening in this moment. All right, this is what's happening. We don't say, I wish this weren't happening. I got to get out of here. That doubles your suffering. I wish I was in the past. The past was so much better. Doubling your suffering. Instead, we say, this is what is happening. And I am sad about it. I'm mad about it. I'm whatever it is. And then you go, that's what it is. And then you accept, all right, this is what's happening. And I accept it fully. And then you forgive yourself because you got yourself here, right? And then once you've forgiven yourself, you forgive others because the forgiveness is for you, right? And we're going to have a whole episode on forgiveness because we need to talk about forgiveness, y'all. It's been weaponized, but I digress. And then you embrace. You embrace yourself. You embrace exactly what's happening in the moment and you move from there. We love to try to start like 20 steps from where we are, 100 steps, which is hilarious because you can't. Embrace who and where you are in this moment. And just keep trying. The only way to fail is to not try. If you try and you quote unquote fail, you didn't. You learned something. The question is, will you take the lesson? can you turn it into wisdom? And if you can't, you'll just keep getting the same lesson. So if you want to see different sushi come around on the conveyor belt, you have to ask for it and show up for it, right? Because again, you're in charge of your own experience. So them's are the laws of personal sovereignty. Personal sovereignty has changed my life in a way that is, my life's unrecognizable, actually. Before I knew these things, before I began practicing these things, and now these things are embodied in me. The peace that is in my life, sometimes it's kind of a trip. I'm like, why are things so quiet and peaceful? Why isn't there chaos? Why don't I hate myself? It's such a new space to be in. But that's the outcome here. And it's not like I'm done. You never arrive. Arrival's a myth. You know what? I'm going to add that. Arrival's a myth. I'm just going to be constantly adding to these. It's going to be fun. Everything is cyclical. You will have moments where everything is great and you're at the top of your cycle. And then things will start to fall away and you're like, oh boy, here it comes. And that's okay. Let it. Cycles are amazing. Cycles allow you the time to grow. Just look at our beautiful Mother Earth. It's been showing us exactly how to do things this whole time. But we were like, nope, we know better. We would like it now, and we want it now and now. And you see the outcome of that. So when we post this we're going to post it on the Instagrams. We're going to post it on YouTube. Are we posting this on TikTok? Okay. I want to hear like your arguments actually, right? I want to hear why you're like, no, I don't like it. Because like I said, when I read the 4 agreements, I hucked the book across the room because I was like, no. I want to know what you think. I want to know if you think I'm like up in the night. Oh my gosh. Do we know that expression? I was raised by my Depression era grandparents. So that's from them. I just mean like, let's have a conversation because all of these topics are huge, right? That's why we're going to dedicate episodes to them because I want to get into it. And I also want to hear how these have triggered you. And remember, the trigger's the gift. When you're triggered, it's like, oh, amazing. I know exactly where to take my attention and what needs my energy in me. Right? So whoever triggered you, it's like, you know what? Never mind. This has nothing to do with you. I'm going to go in now. I now have my assignment. Do you understand it? So I want to hear what you think about these. And we'll post them. We'll post them with the episodes so that you can read them and see. And there will also be a link. You can get these pretty cards that I've made. Oh, and leave a review. Please leave a review. Because I want to know what comes up for you, right? I think it's my opinion that working with me is the best because I actually want to know what you think. You are the expert on you. So this is a way that you can start to do this for yourself. This is a way you can learn to do it. And obviously, I'm here to work with you. I want to give everybody these tools. This is it for me. Understanding that if you become peaceful inside yourself and content, that will be mirrored outward. And so to have world peace, as it were, everybody's got to be working towards inner peace. And then the job's done. It's effective. So, that's what I have for you today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me talk about the thing I am most passionate about. The reason I think I was put on this earth is to talk about this stuff. So I appreciate you and be gentle with yourself. Have a great week.